All right, so welcome to Clearing and Protecting. I'm Dr. Reverend Natalie Vail. I'm a licensed acupuncturist and ordained spiritualist minister, and I've been working with the healing arts for a very long time, since I was 4 years old, and I'm in my 30s, and that's all I'm going to say. So in today's webinar, we're going to talk about some ancient secrets and proven methods to removing unwanted energies from yourself and also from your living spaces. Up on the agenda today, we're going to discuss a few things. Number one, a little bit of introductions. What is space clearing? When you need to space clear? How you know you need to space clear? The 3 Gs, which I like to call them, which are grounding, guarding, and guiding, which are the basics for any kind of empath or sensitive soul or healer. These are the 3 things you need to know immediately before you start working with other people. We're going to talk a little bit about feng shui and how that relates to space clearing, and some helpful vocabulary when you're talking to people, because there's lots of different things and words out there that people use to describe energy. And so this way you can kind of be a little bit more educated in that. We'll do some helpful tools for space clearing. There's so many things out there, from essential oils to things that you burn to crystals that you use. And then we'll also talk about some tools for your own self-clearing. And lastly, we'll move into questions and answers, because I know everybody out there is probably going to have some things that they're going to want to know more about. Okay? So, introductions, like I said, a little bit about myself. So I remember the very first time that I saw spirit cognizantly. I was 4 years old. I was in my bed at my parents' house, and a very large face, male face, came over my head and said, "Hello," really loud. And I screamed. And I hid on the covers, and I cried. And so that was my first experience that I remember with spirit. And I'm sure a lot of you that are in this class today or that are taking this have had similar experiences. When you're a child, it's very unnerving because you don't have the right comprehension of what's happening and why it's happening. You don't really, the veil for children is very thin between dimensions, so you don't know what's reality and what's not. So I was very fortunate, very lucky to have 2 parents that were very hip to the new age at the time in the 80s, and were able to help explain to me a little bit about what I was seeing, why I was seeing it, and how to communicate with that. So I started my education in energy healing when I was 8 years old. My mom's a therapeutic touch practitioner and an RN. And so I learned about chakras and auras and how to do distance healing at a really young age. I then went on to work at Harmony Grove Spiritualist Association, where I started classes at 17. I was their youngest student to ever go through their program. And I started with energy healing. And I really feel that anyone who wants to really develop their intuition super duper needs to have a tight understanding of healing. So when anybody always says to me, and I know there's people that are in this class right now that have even asked me, "Oh, I want to develop my intuition," I've always said, start with healing. So I did that, and for a long time, and then I dove deeper into my intuitive gifts, which were there, but I was a little scared of. And while I was at acupuncture school getting my master's there, I also finished up my reverendship. So that's kind of how that works. I do a lot of work one-on-one with people for private sessions. I also work with groups, and I've done space clearings for homes and businesses now for a really long time. So I've done that with people's businesses, where I'll go in there with groups of people, or I'll go in by myself and do someone's home. I've even done distance healings for people, like in Pennsylvania, Virginia, things like that. So once you learn the basics of space clearing and also distance healing, you can do it for anybody, anywhere. Great. So I want to know more about you guys. And I want to know more about your experiences, because everybody in this class, I know personally, which is really wonderful. And for those taking the recording session, if you actually had some experiences yourself with the paranormal or with feeling things. So we do have a poll for you. And our first poll is, I want to know, how many of you have felt that you have taken on either negative or unwanted energies from a space or from someone you know? So please do that. Okay, So it's super common. It's pretty normal if you're working with people or if you're a sensitive person for this to happen. Okay, so here we go. So let's talk about what is space clearing. So space clearing is something that spans nearly every culture, from Africa to China to even the indigenous peoples of America. When we use space clearing, it's something that really helps us to feel more connected to our land, to the environments that we live in. And as you all know, our environments really do have a strong impact on our health, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. In Feng Shui, we say that there are certain element combinations that can happen on an annual cycle that can actually not only affect your health, but they can cause things like lawsuits to happen or divorces. So our personal environments that we surround ourselves with, as well as the people that we surround ourselves with, really do have a strong impact on our health. Our environments also hold energy from the past. There's a movie like If These Walls Could Talk. I think it was a Lifetime movie. It was really tragic and dramatic, but it's all about how this home undergoes kind of repeated patterns from the time that it was built until present day. And the idea is that the walls have a very special way of kind of absorbing energy and kind of maintaining it. And so once and it's not just walls made out of any material. It could be made out of brick or mortar or plaster, wood, things like that. It kind of creates a residue around the environment that kind of gets trapped there. And so you'll see that a lot of homes, businesses, whatever, start to repeat patterns over and over again. Has anybody ever been to a restaurant that just turns over ownership over and over and over again? You're like, oh my gosh, how many restaurants has this been? I know there was one here in Hillcrest that was many, many things until it finally became what's called Empire. And so Empire House. And it was really funny because the owners of Empire House knew that there was like this curse on the restaurant, and they had just taken it over from someone who failed their restaurant. And so they thought they were being really cheeky, and they did a little voodoo doll on one of their pieces of wood in their restaurant, and it says, "The curse has been lifted." And let me tell you something. That restaurant, Empire House on University in Hillcrest, has been the longest standing restaurant that has ever been in that location. So there is some power to that. And even though they were kind of being, cheeky and funny and thinking that was a joke, there was some intention behind that where they commanded that curse to be lifted. So it kind of freed that restaurant from that energy. Also, our emotions and our thoughts hold energy as well. So if you're a really negative or sad person, that is going to kind of emanate out from you and get stuck in a home as well. So that's a little bit about what space clearing is. We're just lightening the area. We're removing unwanted energies. We're clearing out old thought patterns. We're clearing out curses, vows, oaths that were either taken by the people that live there or inhabited there, or that were placed on the land before the people came there. Okay? Let's talk about when we need to space clear. There are a lot of people that call me and they're like, oh my gosh, I need you to come out to my house. Like, I think my place is haunted or whatever. And that's really the only time they call me for a space clearing. But there's so many other times that a space clearing is relevant. Always, before you purchase a new home or you're renting a new space, whether that's an office or a living space, you always want to clear it before going in there, just to kind of get rid of any old energy, anything residual from the previous people. After a physical illness, like being sick, such as like having the flu, is really gross. Like you're snotty and you're coughing and you're just like really feeling lethargic and maybe sorry for yourself and woe is me, and all that energy can kind of stick, especially on your furniture as well. It can stick on your couch or it can stick on your bed. So it's a good time to space clear from there. Also, if you've had surgery or you're in a car accident, something like that, these are really big things that can also kind of mean that there's some stuck chi or energy, some stagnation in the home that needs to be moved. Any major life changes, such as someone passing away, even if they didn't live in your home, it's a good idea, especially for bringing in a new baby. So say there's been a birth, and let me tell you, being a doula for years, people who have babies, that's like the last thing on their mind, you know? So you can do a really good gift for someone and say, hey, you know, I just learned how to space clear, and I know you have this new baby. Let me help you by doing this as a gift for you. It'll be really sweet. It's really important after any bad arguments or any violent acts that happen in the home as well. So, you know, I'll tell you this, I have upstairs neighbors that have just been going at it like crazy. This current Venus retrograde hasn't been working out for them. So even though it's not happening in my apartment, it's happening above me. And their arguments, they do seep down, kind of like slime almost, right? So after their arguments, I actually go around my house and I stage it just to help myself and also help them too, right? You're doing them a favor. And violent acts. So that's kind of, you know, if there's any abuse, that type thing. And any after security violations, like a robbery or a burglary, oh, it's so violating and you just feel so victimized. And when you space clear, it kind of makes you feel more safe and protected in your environments again. And then preventatively, so this is something that you can do once a month. We really like to be a witchy up in here and say that the full moon is a good time to do that. Full moons are a lot about letting go, releasing, clearing. The energies are really high. If you're a water sign, so if you have that in your chart, like your moon especially, so if you're a Cancer, a Pisces, or a Scorpio sun or moon, I would highly recommend doing this once a month on the full moon, because water sign people have a stronger affinity towards being affected during this time. Okay? Let's talk about knowing when you know you need to clear. So again, this kind of goes into signs and symptoms of trapped energy. So for instance, you might have lights that start flickering on and off. That could be an entity or a ghost, or that could actually just be stagnant, stuck energy in an area. You could have multiple things break. I know growing up when I was a kid, we used to have, well, kind of like my MO, I would start like breaking glasses. So I would like have like my mom, I don't know why she had glasses with like 3 small children, but whatever. So I would break glasses all the time. And then that was one of the ways I knew that there was kind of some stuck energy in the place. You might have electronics breakdown, like your computer, especially Mercury retrogrades coming up right now. So in the beginning of April. So really space clear your laptops, computers, cell phones. I can't tell you how many times, knock on wood, and on my cell phone, this doesn't happen this time, but I can't tell you how many times my phone has been overworked and has broken during a Mercury retrograde. And if I'd only cleared it, like physically, you know, by clearing out data, and then also energetically cleared it, it probably would have kept working. Well, I don't know. If there's any kind of issues that really need to be repaired, so electricity or plumbing, water issues in your house always relate to money. So if there's like a problem with your plumbing, such as like your dishwasher stops working, or you know, your bathtub isn't draining right, or you know, you have a flood of some kind, whoa girl, like and dude, watch your money, because there could be some sort of unexpected expenses coming up your way, or there could be something that you're not paying attention to, or you're leaking energy or leaking money. So there could be like a recurring fee, or someone might have done a privacy, like, you know, violation with your money, that type of thing. So that's an idea. If you have any insects or vermin infestations, that's a very clear sign that there's kind of like infected space. So, you know, ants that coming into your house, or if you've got, thank God I live in California. I just saw something on the news about an alligator coming into someone's garage, and I was like, oh my God, that would be horrible. Really a very clear sign that you need to shore up your boundaries and clear out the negativity. If there's been increased conflicts in any of your relationships, whether those are interpersonal, professional, romantic, friendships, family. If you can't stop fighting with your sister, or you're really mad at your coworker, clear your house, clear your office. And then if you can't recover from health issues, there's a lot of times where you just get sucked into like kind of a downward spiral, and you can't get better, you can't recover. And sometimes if you do a space clearing, it's enough to just move the chi enough and to lighten the space enough that you're able to make a breakthrough in your recovery. Okay, and then how to know that, I'm continuing on with this, if there's been a known history or violence, or any other nefarious acts or behaviors that have taken place in that space. For instance, like if there was a murder, which can definitely happen, especially, if you're buying homes and that type of thing. Or if that there was child abuse, that's a little iffy, because it's not always that people don't necessarily have to disclose things like that to you. But if there's been violence in a place, it really disrupts kind of the astral field around it. And it can be kind of like traumatized. It can kind of have PTSD. So if you give it a little extra TLC, a little love, it goes a long way. And then if there's an overall feeling of bad vibes, like what I'm talking about. You walk into somewhere and it just feels icky and gross and heavy and dense. Those are the kind of places that could use a regular clearing. Okay, going to poll number 2, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen in a second. Oh, there it is. Yay. Okay. How many of you have experienced these things? So hauntings, obsessions, possessions, poltergeists, exorcisms, or the following. Here's the 3 Gs. This is like the secret to space clearing environments, and also, yourself as well. So this is like the whole protection aspect of it. So if you, again, everybody that's listening to this, you're empathic, you're intuitive, you're sensitive, you're fabulous is what you are. And you've been given an amazing talent and an ability and a gift that not everybody has. Having a heightened sixth sense is a blessing, not a curse, I promise you. But when you don't know how to use your gifts properly, it can feel super overwhelming, and it can feel like a curse like 90% of the time. So when you start to develop them better and you use this little kind of idea of the grounding, guarding, guiding, I promise you it will revolutionize for you and really help you to better have control over your own self and over having better boundaries with other people as well. Grounding. Okay, so some really fun ways to ground. So what grounding is connecting to Mother Earth energy. Mother Earth energy is very nurturing, it's supportive, it's loving, and it pulls us into our body. And a lot of empathic people and sensitive, intuitive people are very vata, we say in Ayurveda, which it's like a kind of like air sign. And the air sign loves to peace out. It's like, oh, there's some funky vibes, or oh, there's some bad energy. I am out of here. So, but that's actually not the best thing. The best thing is we want to stay present. We want to stay in the body, stay grounded, because when you're in your body, you're in your power. Okay. So some ways to ground are removing your shoes. So you see a lot of hippie people, wearing no shoes, and but it really does work. It really does connect you to the land below. I've heard from my feng shui guru, Amanda Collins, years ago, that there was a study that if people walked barefoot on grass for 45 minutes a day, it would help them heal all sorts of ailments because of the chlorophyll in the grass. Take that if you will, that is not a checked fact. So anyway, but walking barefoot on the sand, like there is in this picture, on the grass, really powerful, really beautiful. Another thing you can do is visualize an anchor on the bottom of your foot. There's a point called kidney 1 in Chinese medicine. Kidney 1 is the most yin point on the entire body. And it's actually at the bottom of our foot, kind of on the ball of the foot, in between the second and third toes. And it's always pretty kind of tender on most people. So you can kind of press on that, rub that, massage that, like with some cedar oil, or if you're into essential oils too, in doTERRA. doTERRA makes an oil called Balance, and Balance is really good in grounding. It's got a lot of like cedar and I think like blue tansy and other woody things in it. But anyway, so you can do that. And then after you've massaged, you can visualize an anchor coming down out of your feet, dropping down into the earth, breaking through the earth's crust, the mantle, and moving down into the core of the earth. And when you're in the core of the earth, it's this very magnetic, warm, and powerful place. And you can kind of just drop all of your energy down from the top of your head, moving down your entire spine, through your cervical, thoracic, lumbar, down your legs, out to that point on the bottom of your feet, and really push it down into the earth. And once you connect and anchor into the earth, it's this very, like a very beautiful weight on you. Not like a heaviness or a density, but this sense of reassurance and of comforting that only Mother Earth can do. So that's a really big aspect of grounding, is really connecting to our original mother, the source of all of life here on this planet, here on Earth, which in this lifetime, that's where we're at. Hugging a tree is also a really powerful way of connecting to earth energy, because trees have roots and they're connected to Mother Earth. So you've got the earth element with the wood element, and then you can create a heart-to-heart connection, or whatever part of your body, whatever chakra that you want to be healed. You can use your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, whatever you need, and you can receive that earth energy and that wood element energy through this living being that's been around for a long time. Trees are very powerful, very spiritual. And then just becoming present. Grounding is really nothing more than just being in your body, being in the moment, not letting yourself think 5,000 years ahead or stay back in the past. Really saying that where I'm at right now in my life is exactly where I need to be, that I've got everything I need right now is within me and around me. So I'm okay. Like right now, nothing bad is happening. I'm okay. So that's another really big piece of grounding. So that's the first step in really honing in on your talents, your abilities, and really accepting yourself as an empath, is connecting to this earth energy, being in your body, being present. Guarding. Okay. So this is protection. So there's many different things around protection. There's so many tools that you can use. And this is kind of like my favorite part, actually. So I did once I did study with a shaman down in Guatemala for a long time. And he would say, well, there's really nothing that you need to protect yourself from, because everything is God. So why protect yourself? Okay, yeah, very true. However, for people to think that there's not dark energies in this world, or that there's not negativity, is just not true. We have to take the good with the bad, the beautiful with the ugly, and the light with the dark. So, and the positive with the negative. So there is stuff that you do want to protect yourself from, but remember that nothing can hurt you unless you let it. So don't let it hurt you. Don't let yourself get triggered. Don't let these things hit at your pain points, especially if you're working with patients and clients and difficult people. They have a way of manipulating people into involving them in their drama, right? And so then you get invested, and then once you're invested, guess what? Your protection mechanisms just go down, and now you're hooked in. And now you're taking in their energy, because they're pulling on your heartstrings, and you're feeling bad, and you want to help them. And so you're like, okay, I'll take on all of your pain. Thanks. And at the end of the day, nobody wins, because they're not empowered to handle their own problems. And you feel like crap because now you've got all their junk on you. So protection. One of the easiest ways to do so is surrounding yourself with light. Now, white light's beautiful. White light is the color of purity. It's the color of cleanliness. Where they say cleanliness is next to godliness. So that's kind of fun. But there's other colors you can use too. So violet is a really beautiful color. Violet is the color of Saint Germain. Here's Saint Germain, if you want to see what it looks like. Very handsome. So you can use his color of light to use for transmutation and burning away negativity. You can use rose pink, which is the color of the divine feminine. So people like Kuan Yin and Mother Mary. Here's Kuan Yin, very beautiful Asian goddess. That can help soften and bring compassion to something. You can use black. Actually, people historically think black is like a bad thing, but it's not. Black it keeps you hidden. It's a very Scorpio type thing where it shadows you, and you're not seen by the other energies. Like it's like you become invisible. And then other colors you can use are like gold, which is very high level, or light blue, which is kind of like the color of Jesus, Christ consciousness. You can also encircle yourself with mirrors. You just visualize this, right? So when you do mirrors reflect energy. So they either enhance it or they push it back. So we use mirrors a lot in feng shui for many reasons. So like if you've got bad, icky neighbors, you can like upstairs, like me, or or behind you, or you share a wall with somebody at your office or something like that, and you're not vibing with them. You can take the shiny side of your mirror, and in my case, I would aim it up, right? And that would push their energy back. So when you use this for your own personal clearing and protecting, you just visualize yourself with all the shiny side of the mirrors going out around you, and then that reflects everybody else's energy back. It's kind of like, remember when you were in like elementary school or a little kid, and there was that saying, I'm rubber, you're glue. Anything you say to me bounces off of me and sticks back onto you. That's kind of what mirrors are doing. It's saying like, not my problem. Thank you very much. There are crystals that you can use for protecting yourself and guarding yourself. So some of the main crystals we want to use are black obsidian, hematite, black tourmaline, amethyst, and rose quartz. So this is hematite. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see this too much because it's very small, but this hematite means like it's like a bloodstone. It's a very heavy and very grounding. Like if you really need to be grounded and protected, hematite is your man. He's an awesome crystal. There is black obsidian. Black obsidian is also very protective. It was used a lot in Native American cultures, for fighting and warriorship, and they use it in their arrows. Black obsidian is, it's kind of a cool stone too, because it's made from the fire, like of volcanoes, mixed with earth elements. So it's kind of got that fire earth energy to it. Black tourmaline is super, super charged up. Okay, I don't think you guys are gonna be able to see this at all, but that's it right there. These are really tiny pieces, but I have a big jewelry one that I wear every time I go out to do a house clearing. Or if I know I'm gonna be working with a client that's had a lot of emotional trauma, because it's so protective. Black tourmaline is very common as well, especially here in California. Tourmalines grows on it, doesn't grow, but they mine it in Paula area. This is smoky quartz, which is the biggest one I have, so hopefully you can see this. Smoky quartz is brown in general. It's this guy is really nice and heavy, so this is another very grounding crystal, connects you to the earth energy. Rose quartz. Rose quartz helps you to keep a mindset of compassion and love. So to see yourself within everyone and everything, to feel connected, and to always come from a place of love and understanding. And then amethyst, which is a purple stone, is really good for all chakras. It's kind of like the lavender or the gonsao of the crystal community. So it goes with anything. It plays nice with everybody. And purple is the color of the crown chakra, which connects us to the divine and our own wisdom. So this keeps you elevated and uplifted. And essential oils that you can use. Frankincense is amazing for not only protecting yourself, it's a high vibrational oil, but it also helps remove unwanted energies as well. I call it the Windex of the third eye, actually. So whenever anybody's got coming in and I'm like, uh-oh, you need some extra TLC, I'll rub that on their third eye, and it usually just is enough to clear out the gunk, the gooeys, the buggies in there, and then they can see clearly again. Also, again, if you use like kind of the regular essential oils that are out there right now, doTERRA or Young Living. There's On Guard from doTERRA, and there's also Thieves Oil from Young Living. Now, these oils are really great. They're protective on a physical level from viruses, bacteria, the common cold, the flu, but they're also protective on a spiritual level because guess what? Our physical immunity and our spiritual immunity are pretty much same. I always tell people that, you know, when your physical immunity is down, you're more susceptible to contracting viruses and colds. Same thing when your spiritual immunity is down. When your spiritual immunity is down, you're more susceptible to contracting ghosts, dead people, waywards, entities, negative energies, anything that's not yours, not helpful for you to carry because you're not on your A game. Okay? Now, amulets are another way of protecting yourself. Amulets have been used for like centuries, probably like longer than that, across all different cultures. So like the sign of, you know, the cross, the crucifix, if you're into Jesus, super awesome. Very much helps you connect to his energy, and he's very protective. You can use the evil eye. So the evil eye is mostly in like Middle Eastern cultures, which is the one, actually, you know what, it's on your screen right now, a bigger, better one. But anyway, you can wear the evil eye to kind of ward off negativity. There is the Hamsa in Judaism, which thank you, Olivia, for this one. It's a car freshener, but anyway, it works too. It wards off negative traffic, but it also has the evil eye in it as well. There's Ganesha. I was given this by kind of a friend of the family, and it's a little Ganesha encased in a little necklace to wear, because Ganesha is the remover of obstacles and boundaries. So if there's like heavy stuff you're going through, here's a better picture of him. He's really fabulous. He's an elephant god, and he's so powerful. So if you need someone to really guard you, just put him in front of you, put him behind you, put him to your right, to your left. You are golden. He will totally break down barriers for you. There's also different like chakra things that you can wear. There's bracelets. So if you're here on East West Integrative, the founder of this, East Harridan, created a company called Gym Elixirs, and she makes bracelets that have different crystals on them. There's one called Shift. That one helps to kind of absorb negative energy and shift you into a more positive state. And then there's just other crystals that you can get from other stores that you can wear too. So these are some things that you can either wear in your bra, in your pockets. You can put them in your car, in your purse. You don't have to be like all like a big fat stop sign on your heart. You know what I mean? But you can kind of be it subtle, and you can do it in your own style and your own way. There's a lot of like very spiritual jewelry out these days. That can kind of like has a lot of these elements in them that you can wear, and it looks fashionable and also protects you. Okay. Moving on to guiding. So this guiding is more of making sure that you realize that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, not the other way around. A lot of times we forget that we have very powerful helpers and allies on the other side, in other dimensions and other realms of reality that are here for us. You know, we're not alone. You as a person on this planet are part of the universe. And because you're part of the universe, you're never, ever forgotten. So there are so many ascended masters, guardians, guides, angels that want to work with you, but you have free will. So the only way they're going to work with you is if you ask for help. So I love prayer. I pray every day, all day, over everybody, whether or not they like it or not. My patients can attest to that. And praying is asking. It's asking for help, guidance, assistance, direction, protection, for strength, whatever it is, for inspiration. So when we pray, we're really saying like, this is what I'm wanting. This is what I'm needing. And especially for protection. So one of the prayers that I really like, that was created back in 1946, I believe, through I think it was the Unity Church. I used to have it, the quote up here, but the reference, but I don't know. Anyway, so the prayer is super easy, and you can just memorize it. And it says, "The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. So be it. Now, with this, you can interchange the word God all you want. You can make it goddess, you can make it universe, you can make it the flying spaghetti monster. That is your prerogative. But you're really eliciting the help and imploring the help of something higher than yourself. And remember that if there's light, darkness cannot exist. So you're really connecting to this higher level of energy. You're becoming a clear and clean channel of unconditional love and light, letting it flow down through you and amping up your own strength that was already there to begin with. So getting that help from the other side, praying, eliciting the help of the ascended masters, especially Archangel Michael. He's such a great guy. If you're not working with him already, he works with anybody. So I don't mean it like that, but this is Archangel Michael, and he's the right-hand man of God, or is said to have been the right-hand man of God. And he has a very powerful sword of truth that he can use to kind of cut away, negativity and cut away density. So again, so many different aspects of things that you can work with to protect yourself and elevate your energy. Okay, so let's talk about some vocabulary because I've thrown around a bunch of stuff recently, and if you're hip to the new vibe, then that's cool. But if you're kind of a first time, long time listener, first time caller, then some of these words might be a little confusing. So let's talk about this. So an empath is nothing more than just a person that feels other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Empaths have which everybody here is, no doubt. Now, an empath is someone who's driven to want to help humanity. They love to be of service. They love to support others. Empaths also have a special connection with animals generally, because animals are fourth chakra beings, meaning they're heart chakra beings, and so and empaths are such big-hearted people that they love connecting with animals in that kind of way. So they can feel animals' pain usually too. Now, an empath, again, is very feeling to things. And so another word that's more commonly used in kind of like the psychic tradition or the mediumship tradition is clairsentient. Now, clair, I'm sure you've heard of clairvoyant, clairaudient, something like that. But clair means clear. So it just means that you get it. There's no impeding energies there. And sentient just means feeling. So a clairsentient is someone who's clear feeling. Well, guess what? That's an empath. So those words can be used interchangeably. Empath is a much more newer terminology that's been thrown around like heavily over the last 10 years, versus clairsentient was more popular, back in the early 1900s. Psychic attack. Woohoo! Okay, so a psychic attack is, it sounds scary because it is. Just kidding. A conscious or subconscious, direct or misdirected sending of negative thought forms and energy to someone else. So this mostly occurs when a regular person, just like you and me, thinks negatively about you. So if you're driving on the freeway, really watch your words, okay? And watch your thoughts, because thoughts are things as well, right? So if you're like, damn you, to the person that cut you off, I mean, they probably deserved it, but you sent them some negative energy, so let's not do that. Now, that's like kind of standard stuff. There can also be people who really want to hurt you, people who are very jealous of you. Don't want to look at that stuff too much, right? But if someone's really in your space, you'll know it, you'll feel it. You'll especially if you're empathic, you'll know when someone's kind of sending you bad vibes. So it's kind of a way to when we're under psychic attack, that's when you really need to seriously ground, protect, and guard yourself and guide yourself every day. Okay, a spirit. So a spirit is a disincarnate being without a physical body. And this is like the state of a soul between physical incarnations. So it's just someone who doesn't have a body. That's it. We're all energy and we're all spiritual. We just don't have these like meat suits. Okay. Versus a ghost. Okay. Ghosts and spirits are different things. So a ghost is a disembodied spirit as well. However, they are thought to wander among the living. And I always say, sorry, Casper, there's no such thing as a friendly ghost. Wah, wah. Ghosts exist in various forms. Most of them are they're like kind of neutral, but they're never benevolent. Do you know? They're never really there. If you're a ghost, you got some stuff going on with you. You've either got beef with God and you don't want to go to the next level, or you've got unresolved issues, or you died traumatically, and you're kind of stuck playing out some stuff. So with a ghost, we definitely, I know a lot of people are like, oh, but he's fine, he never bothers me. Well, guess what? He's bringing down the overall vibration of your home, which guess what? In turn is bringing down the overall vibration of you. So, you know, homes that have, and they don't want to be here either. So if you know how to talk to them and how to help them get out of here, oh my gosh, you're doing them such a favor. Okay. So, okay, when we have ghosts, a lot of times there's apparitions that go with that. So an apparition is a spirit with an image that can be seen with the untrained eye, and may even interact with observers. So if anybody's familiar with the Whaley House in San Diego, it's one of the top 100 most haunted places in America. Yay! Right by my old office. And sorry. Okay. So anyway, people regularly like show themselves at the Whaley House. Like it's common knowledge that like Mr. Whaley walks around the garden and Mrs. Whaley rocks in her chair. So it's just that an apparition is like anybody can see it. Okay. Versus a wayward. Okay. So waywards are spirits that kind of like miss their window of opportunity to cross over to the other side, kind of like a ghost, right? But they commonly return to the places on earth where they were most accustomed to, like their homes. And they may have died of traumatic, strong attachments to places or things, for instance, if they were murdered, things like that. And they may draw to and attach themselves to people's auric fields in order to be closer to their spiritual light. Because remember, you're a light worker, you're a light bearer, and you are super bright and shiny, people. So everybody's looking for the light. That's what we say crossing over is. We say it's going into the light. And just like a moth is attracted to a flame, moths are gross and icky, and flames are beautiful and gorgeous. And so they're like, oh, I want that. So that's what waywards do. They're lonely, they're scared, they're kind of negative and not feeling good. And so they're like, ooh, what's this bright, shiny thing? And then they just kind of hook onto you and attach on and go for the ride, which is not good for them or you. And a person that is carrying around a wayward may develop physical and or psychological illnesses caused by that wayward kind of draining their energy, similar to like a psychic vampire, just but not a human, because we say psychic vampires are humans, but a wayward's kind of like that opposite of like a spirit of that. And, you know, I really feel that like a lot of people that just like have a very acute onset of severe depression or even suicidal thoughts, have wayward attachments. I can't tell you how many times someone's come into my office and they're my patient, I've known them for years, and they look messed up and they're not sleeping, they're not eating, they're super stressed out. And you know what's funny is the very first thing I check on them every single time is to see if they have a wayward or a ghost attachment. And like I would say like 8 times out of 10, they do. So it just kind of putting it out there, you know, as a thought for you to marinate on. It may not necessarily be you, or it may not necessarily be them. It could be something paranormal that's happening for people. Okay. Speaking of paranormal, hauntings. Whoa! Okay, I'm being silly. Okay, so haunting is a repeated pattern, a perception. Like it's an image, it's a sight, a sound, a sense of a movement, and it's actually just an energy imprint that's been left over from intense vibrational frequencies. They usually look like film clips, you know, like it's kind of like again. Let me go back to the Whaley House. You know, Mrs. Whaley will be seen rocking back in her, back and forth in her chair and things like that. So that's just kind of a loop. It's kind of like they get stuck on a loop. And a haunting is not as common as you think, you know, but when you do encounter one or a space that's haunted, you can feel it. You know right away. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, you know, to feel that. Okay. let's go into this. So poll number 3, how many of you feel that you are empathic? And I swear this be 100% because you are all empathic. And then poll number 4, how many of you have seen a ghost? Which I'm guessing also is everybody here too. So I'm curious to see. Here we go. So 100% of you felt that you're empathic. Yay, A+ gold star. Okay. Great. Okay, cool. So nice. So yeah, it's pretty common, you know, to see these things. And then also, like I said, you wouldn't be attracted to this class if you weren't, you know, empathic. Okay. I think that was number 2 was, you know, the next one that came up. So if you see that, you can click on that. You don't have to though. Cool. Good stuff. All right. So yeah, okay, so 57% of people said they have seen a ghost, 14% have said no, they have not, and 29% say they're unsure. Cool. So if you're unsure, then chances are, guess what? You gotta listen to your intuition. You probably have. So if there's been any kind of funkiness that you've been like felt, or you might have sensed something, and maybe not like seen, but you might have felt them, you know, and ghosts have a very particular feeling. Like they usually feel cold, versus angels and ascended masters usually feel like warm and hot because they're high vibrational. And low vibrational things usually feel cold, or like almost like you the chills type stuff. Or, you know, some lights may have gone on and off, that type thing. That would be a ghost too. So cool, good stuff. All right, let's get back to our sharing. Okay. Boop. Okay, so continuing on. So we've got an obsession versus a possession. Okay, so I'm sure people have heard about possessions. Anybody who's watched Poltergeist has seen that. Now that's like extreme, okay? Just so we're all very clear. That is beyond. I mean, that's like shamanistic stuff of like the jungles of the Amazon, you know, which thousands of years ago or whatever. But it does happen. It can happen. It does happen. So let's go back to obsession first. So an obsession is, it's kind of like a possession, but like on a lesser degree. So it's a spirit that is a disembodied spirit, usually a wayward, that is in the auric field of someone else. So they're kind of like they're up in your grill, basically, okay, when you have an obsession. So you start thinking and feeling things that are outside your norm. Like you might be extra sad or extra mad or depressed or whatever. That would be a sign of that. Versus a possession is negative spirits that actually take over your body. And this person may act in very bizarre ways. They might hear voices. And they might even like do crazy movements. Possessions, you have to be usually a very weak person in order to have a possession type situation, or in a really heightened crisis state. Because our souls are pretty strong and we like our bodies. Even if you don't have a good relationship with your body, you still want to be here than anywhere else. So to let someone else come into your physical being is you have to kind of like a weakened state of mind. So that could be like maybe you were blackout drunk, right, in a bad situation. Or it could be very, very horrible trauma happened to you, like a rape or something. Or you have to be extraordinarily mentally ill. So people who are schizophrenic, a lot of the times, there's a lot of theories on that, but we say that sometimes they're possessed. Again, it's not very scientific, but it can contribute to some of these weird behaviors and words. Okay, so let's talk about the fallen. The fallen are spirits and entities that are stronger than typical waywards. They have developed over time, and it gives them more resistance to going into the light. So they're like, you know, the next level. They're mad. They don't want to. They refuse to participate in anything of the light, and they have an agenda. So they usually like want to mess with people, whether that's like your typical run-of-the-mill, you know, just like turning lights on and off, or actually like creating situations. So that's there. Okay. A poltergeist. Oh, okay. Another movie. So it translates from the German word, which means noisy ghost. So this is an unconsciously generated psychokinesis, which is very intense mental energy. And this mental energy, remember, our thoughts are things. And so this mental energy is so strong, it's so crazy strong, that it can actually shake and levitate people or even things and make them disappear. So again, poltergeist is like high level stuff. This usually occurs when people have had severe detachment issues. They're in denial from their emotions. But guess what? We also see this with volatile emotions is teenagers. So they've actually kind of done some anecdotal evidence of that. A lot of homes with very like depressed or mentally ill teenagers have poltergeists in them. So because teenagers are very volatile, they're roller coaster emotions, and they don't have a great understanding. I've actually worked with one of these. She was a 14-year-old girl, and crazy things was happening. Her parents thought the house was haunted, and I did a distance session for them, and I immediately realized that it wasn't the house, that it was their daughter, who was really angry at her dad. So these things happen. Okay. And then exorcism, that's our last word. Yay, vocabulary lesson's almost over. You guys are hanging in there. Awesome job. An exorcism is the act of expelling an unwanted spirit through ritual. So that's basically what a house clearing is an exorcism. It's just like a fancier word and a scarier word. So we like to use the word space clearing. You're basically just kind of getting rid of anything that's not there or not supposed to be there, is what you do in an exorcism. Great. So has anybody heard of any of these terms? I'm sure you have, obviously, like a lot of, horror movies are related to this. But also, if anybody's ever experienced any of these things, we're going to take a poll now. So hauntings, obsessions, possessions. And I know actually from knowing some of you in this group that you have had obsessions. So that should be interesting to see some of the other answers. Okay, oops. Results are in. So 17 people have heard of hauntings, 67% obsessions, 17% possession. No one's experienced a poltergeist. Thank you. And praise the heavens, an exorcism or the fallen. So cool, good. And like I said, hauntings, obsessions, really common. The other stuff, not so much. Like now we're dealing with higher level energies. Cool, great. Moving on. Okay, let's lighten it up, because seriously, that was all some really heavy stuff. So let's talk about feng shui for a second. So feng shui, I love it so much. I took my feng shui master training back in 2010 with Amanda Collins, like I said earlier. And feng shui it's really powerful. And you don't have to like become a certified, consultant in order to use it in your own home. There's certain practices and tips that you can implement very easily without having to do the flying stars and learn all the math and calculations. So what is feng shui? So feng means wind. Shui means water in Chinese. So feng shui means wind, water, which are two elements and kind of the balance of light and water. Okay, so it's an ancient Chinese philosophy and method for creating harmonious environments in all places. One of the most powerful things you can do in feng shui that does not take any money or expertise in anything is clear the clutter from your house and from your office and from everywhere that you are, like your car. Our stuff has a lot of energy to it, and that can kind of weigh us down or keep us stuck. So when you're able to clear the clutter, I've seen just like people getting rid of their old clothes or their old books from school, or like stuff that their ex-boyfriends gave them. Or girlfriends. I've seen like amazing things happen people get unstuck. They are able to have more clarity. They have more power in their life. It's super amazing. So I implore you to clear the clutter. Clutter absolutely attracts negativity, attracts density, heaviness, stagnant chi, even attracts like negative like entities, because they like what's on your stuff. A lot of people have an emotional attachment to their stuff. So I would say if you haven't already read this book, it's so powerful. It's really popular. Everybody's reading it. It's The Magical Art of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. It's super great. And even if you don't become like a religious Marie Kondo follower, there's some tips in there that are really wonderful, and some questions, very thought-provoking questions to help you to address what it is that's, needing to go. So she asks you questions like, do you really love this? Are you really using this? Is there a particular guilt attachment to you while you're still holding on to this? Are you afraid of losing memories? There's a lot of psychological stuff that goes into why people have clutter. And you don't have to be a hoarder, right? It could just be that maybe you hold on to every single issue of Time magazine and you're like, okay, well, why? I guarantee the Smithsonian is not going to need your copy. So they've got their own. So there's, when we start letting go of these things, we start letting go of the past. We recognize that the past is over and done, that all lessons have been learned, all emotions have been felt, and we're setting ourselves free to move forward. So again, using the feng shui aspect of clearing clutter is like number one for space clearing, and also personal clearing as well, like getting rid of the clothes that you wear, the jewelry you're not wearing, shoes, things like that. So the spirit of material objects can interact with and dominate our surroundings. Okay, now the type of house clearing that I do does come from feng shui. There are several other, like I said, shamanic rituals and things from Africa and from Central America, South America, that are really common, but let's go into some of these really fun ones that are really common and you can get pretty much anywhere. So these, what I'm telling you for house clearings applies for personal clearings as well. So that's kind of fun because it's, you buy one and you get two for one. All right. So smoke, sorry, gotta readjust here. So smoke is a really great way of creating a clearing for, so remember, this is after you've realized that you need a clearing, or maybe you just want to be preventative, of kind of lightening your energy and the energy of your space. Okay, so with smoke, we can do white sage. Okay, white sage clears spaces, it purifies objects, and it's full of negative ions that filter impurities in the air and in our surroundings. It does increase the flow of oxygen, and it also does make us just feel really chill. Like whenever you go to the beach, there's the waves crash and the salt water emits negative ions, and we feel so mellow when we're at the beach. Similar idea with white sage. Now, if you don't like the smell of sage, because it is really pungent smelling, then there's other options, okay? So this is Palo Santo wood, and it means holy wood from Brazil or from South America usually. And you can burn this, and the smoke from Palo Santo also does a very similar thing of clearing the air. Now, word of the wise, when you use tools like this, be sure that you are being fire safe. I've had so many times where these ash out and they'll drop on people or their clothing or my table paper or in their house, and there was a singe mark. So when you do that, you really want to use something like this. This is a traditional for sage. This is an abalone shell. This guy's been around the block, as you can tell. It used to be shiny and pretty on the inside. But you can also use like a pretty plate that you like, not a pretty, I'm sorry, like an old plate or an old bowl that you're not using anymore, because it will stain that. Now, when you put out these fun little tools, make sure that you don't use water, because if you use water, it kind of messes up how they work. So you want to use like sand, or you want to use like rice to kind of extinguish them and put them out. So that's how you would use that. Now, another fun thing, if you're an acupuncturist, that you can do, or just a person that likes Asian arts, is moxa. And so this is moxa roll. It's mugwort. Mugwort is a very powerful herb that's used like a lot in Wicca, and anybody who's read Harry Potter has heard about mugwort. So, and this is moxa, and so it's mugwort, and it's rolled up into a little cigar, and we use this for kind of promoting healing. It's like old-fashioned laser therapy, and the smoke from this also is very healing and very cleansing as well. So it just depends on what your preferences are. You know, some days I'm like, oh, I can't stand the smell of sage, and other days I'm like, oh my God, the moxa smells in my hair. You know, so but the smoke is a really good way, again, of purifying your air. Okay, great. So you can also burn incense. Incense is wonderful. This brand right here is a really popular brand of sandalwood incense. You can also, sandalwood is said to be very spiritual. It's supposed to help you connect to meditative energies and to like higher teacher realms. It's really good for meditation. And you can also use frankincense and myrrh, which are two resins, and you can either burn those. But they come in like little resin things. You have to buy little charcoal stuff to burn them. It's kind of complicated. Or you can burn the incense sticks that they have, much easier. Like you can also do, again, if you've got essential oils, you can do frankincense in your diffuser, and that works splendidly, actually, to clear the air, because the diffusers kind of emit that, like, you know, kind of pure white smoke as well. Although it's not smoke, it's, I guess, water molecule mist. Okay, anyway, moving on. So burn. So again, I'm a very fire element person. I like to burn things, let's just be honest. But what you can burn is candles. So there are 7-day pillar candles you can pick up at literally any grocery store. I'm talking like Vons. Like, you don't have to go anywhere fancy. Or Walmart even. And there's ones of, again, this is more of the Christian tradition, but let's be open, right? So there's Jesus, there's Mother Mary, there's Archangel Raphael, you know, there's Archangel Michael, kind of whatever you're into, Our Lady of Guadalupe. They come in different colors, white, black, pink, red, whatever color you want, right? And you can just light these, and you can leave them by the doors or by your windows. And as they burn, they create a very sacred and very beautiful light that kind of protects your home and keeps this elevated sense of spiritual, heightened energy, so that the lower energies can't really come in. So that's that. Sounds like. So you can use sound to clear space or clear people as well. Sound, because we use a lot of times as chimes or the tingsha bells. Singing bowls are really popular. You can do oming. You can walk around your home or walk around a person even and just, you know, om. It's the primordial sound. It's very powerful. You can clap. You can snap. All of these methods help to change stagnant vibrations and frequencies. So I know, like, we could all probably use some clapping and snapping right now. So at home, because we've been like really up in our cerebralness, mental energy, let's just clap. If you're at home, just clap with me. Woohoo! Yeah, there you go. See, you just did a space clearing. Very cool. So I use the Tibetan tingsha bells. These are super loud. I'll ring them like one time quietly so I don't, you know, hurt your ears here, but relaxing, right? Makes you want to meditate, makes me want to like go on to a mountaintop in Tibet and just chill for a year. These bells are inscripted with really powerful symbols that help to also infuse the metal and the sound with like bright energy. Yeah, and sound helps create clarity. That's how I always see it. And I always like to use metal because metal element's about clarity as well whenever I do sound. Okay. Get a whiff of that. So aromatherapy, going back to that, aromatherapy is so powerful. Essential oils are wonderful. They're medicine. And there's a lot of different brands out there that you can use. You can use, like I said on before, you can use On Guard or Thieves oil. You can use frankincense, sandalwood. pretty much anything you like to smell, guess what, is going to be good for you. But those are the traditional ones that we would say. Again, you can put this into a diffuser and let it run throughout your entire home, or you might want to even like put it, like say your kid's having nightmares and you think that there's some negative energy in his room or her room. You could even put a little bit of oils in there. Like lavender is very calming, but guess what? It also clears space. So you could put that in their room and then run the diffuser overnight, and that will, the smell of the lavender will help calm and soothe their mind, but it will also help to dispel any negative energy that's in the room. So that's kind of like a two-win situation there. There's also like other sprays that you can do that are pre-made. So I'm gonna plug East from Gym Elixirs. She makes a brand called Shift. You can get it online. Very affordable. It's pre-made. It's got little crystals in it as well. So it's like super amped up and Reiki charged. And you just shake it up and you spray it around your home. And oh man, not only does it smell good, but it also really helps to change the energy of your space. So if you work in like having a treatment room or sessions, highly recommend spraying this in between your clients and your patients. Even like one little spray goes a very long way. If you had a particularly gross interaction with a client or patient, you can spray yourself down with some of these things as well, and it will really help to clear you. Now, a word about that really quick too, is that when you're working with clients on a regular basis, it's super important to be proactive versus reactive. So I really recommend clearing your energy in between every single person. So make sure to give yourself time and a break, or clients too, people who do like sales or client type work. Or students, like if you're a teacher, like Dominique. So you're gonna really want to clear yourself after your class, that type, anything like that. Because personal clearing, like I said, can be through anything that we've just already talked about, such as, burning sage over yourself, dinging the bells on yourself, that type of thing. I think we're going into that a little bit later, so I'm not going to talk too much right now because I'm getting ahead of myself, I think. So anyway, but again, going back to that, another oils that you can use are like lemon and clary sage, because clary sage is like white sage. And you can mix lemon freshens things up and actually is a natural deodorizer. So that's kind of nice too. That you can spray around. You can just make up your own. It's not expensive to do that. Okay. Salt. So season with salt. So salt is really detoxifying and purifying. It has a lot of antibacterial properties, antimicrobial properties. And you can use salt to either do a perimeter around your home, perimeter around a room, or even soak in salt. So anybody that's had any kind of physical ailments, muscle soreness, you're probably familiar with Epsom salt. Epsom salt is magnesium salts. If you sit in that, you take a nice bath. It helps to remove toxins and heaviness and density from the physical layer, but also from your mental, emotional, and astral bodies as well. It just kind of pulls everything out, which is really nice. So I recommend prophylactically to do an Epsom salt bath at least once a week, even if you think you need it or not, just to kind of clear yourself, but then you can use it, like I said, in your environments. Okay, and then cooking with special Chinese herbs. We have lots of herbs in Chinese medicine that are very woo-woo and magical. And like I was saying, frankincense and myrrh are two of them. It's Mo Yao and Ru Xiang, I think. So just to name a few, but we'll move on. Personal clearing. Okay, so yeah, I got ahead of myself. Sorry about that. So like I said before, there's smoking. So no, not smoking, but using your moxa, using your sage, using your Palo Santo. You can light incense in your room or in your office if your office mates don't mind. You can use the bells again, or kind of get your own crystal bowls and play them for yourself. You can spray yourself down with essential oils in a spray bottle. You can use a roller ball, on your pulse points. I know that for myself, if I'm feeling like I'm on compassion fatigue or compassion burnout. I'll rub a whole bunch of rose essential oil on my heart chakra. Rose is very high vibrational. That helps me to feel again, to connect again, to feel kind of that human to human connection that sometimes when at the end of the day, if we're working with people, it's like, oh my gosh, can't deal with any more of that. And then crystals. So this is where you're really going to want to use crystals. I wear crystals every single day. I wear them in my bra. I wear them in my pockets. I wear them on my wrists. I wear them as earrings. Oh, I love crystals. Crystals are earth energy, so they are very grounding by nature. And then, like I said, hematite, black obsidian, black tourmaline, and smoky quartz. Those are what I have found over the years to be the most powerful, grounding, protecting crystals that I have worked with. There are so many others. There's selenite is also very wonderful. It's white. There is labradorite, which is really great for psychic attack. There's Larimar, which is really good if you think you've got an entity attachment. So you can kind of dabble with a little bit of that. But clear your crystals first before you wear them. That's my little warning there. And guess how you clear them? The same way you clear a space and the same way you clear yourself. So smoke, water, whatever. Okay. And that's that. Good. So yay. That was the webinar. You guys, I went super fast. You all hung in there. It was a lot of information. I am so impressed by everyone just hanging in there. I know there's a lot of questions because I've seen some things pop up. So let's move into that. Let me go into stop sharing and we'll have a little bit of a powwow. Cool. Okay, so looks like la 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 la. Okay, looks like there's a lot of questions, but you know what I'm going to do because I'm not sure if I answer some of these. So if there are questions I haven't answered, go ahead and feel free to raise your hand, or even if you just want to share, you know, if you're like wanting to share an experience that you've had with any of these things. Oh, the spray, Kelsey, is called Shift. And you can get that at gemelixirs.com. And Kimberly says it's the best. She always has it in her purse. Yeah. What else do you use, Kimberly? What do you like to use besides that one? Yeah, balance. Yeah, it's a really grounding oil, really nice. Smells lovely. And it's got a lot of the wood oils in it, which just really help to connect to kind of that herbal, you know, herbal Mother Earth side of things.
Hey, Nat, good question. How often should we clear our like crystal jewelry? Because like, you know, if we wear it every day, and like, what's a good like barometer, I guess? Yes.
Good question. So a good barometer is probably want to do it once a month. I'm not that good. I usually have certain pieces that I only wear when I'm undergoing kind of more difficult times or feeling more persecuted or attacked or working with heavier energies. So I try to clear, I don't try, I do clear those every time that I'm done wearing it or before I wear it again. So like I have a really pretty gemstone crucifix that I wear when I'm feeling like, you know, if you ever see me wearing it, you know I am trying to get help. I am asking for help. So yeah, it just depends on why you're using it and kind of like what you're doing with it. So if you're wearing it like in your bra, it's really close to you, you might want to clear that a little bit more versus something like some earrings that don't really hang too close to you that you maybe only wear a little bit, that type thing. And it's always great to clear all your crystals on a full moon anyway, regardless if they haven't been worn or not, or if you've worked with them or not. The full moon is just so powerful. It downloads them with a bunch of yin energy, and it charges them up. And then you can leave them out over like a 24-hour cycle. So you can leave them out during the daytime too. And then that infuses them with the sun's really bright yang energy. Great. Fabulous. Okay. Oh, so Olivia asked a while back, she said, can an obsession become a possession if untreated? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If a lot of the times obsessions move on their own, like you know, like it might just be that it's kind of someone who comes in, stops for a visit, drains you of your energy, makes you feel like crap for a couple weeks, and then finds another juicy morsel. So that's brighter and shinier, and they're very opportunistic. So they just jump ship on to the next thing, and then you're like, wow, why did I feel like crap for 3 weeks? But now I feel fine again. So, you know, that can happen. Or if it's particularly difficult time and you're not really able to work your way out of it, and maybe if you're just feeling really oppressed by its energy, and something else traumatic happens for you during that time, or you're just feeling really emotionally vulnerable, yeah, it absolutely can. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, you'll, you know, obsessions sometimes are tricky because we just think, well, maybe I'm just in a bad mood. Maybe I'm PMSing is a lot of the times like what I hear women say, you know, or we make excuses, right? So for why we're feeling the way we're feeling. And so check in with yourself, like really make sure, because sometimes when we get triggered, emotional triggers can absolutely bring on our like deeper stuff, like our karmic issues, but it can also, and our emotional, psychological stuff, but it also can bring on a entity as well. So because they're like, oh, I found an opening. Thank you very much.
Exactly. No, thank you. Thanks, Nat. And I actually want to share with everyone, and I know this is because like you cleared me, but this is something for any healers, any healers in the house. So like, you know, be careful. Like don't just don't invite anyone, even if you think it's like a good thing, if you're trying to like comfort a patient and want their, you know, loved one who passed away, wants them to come comfort them. Yeah, don't do that. Like don't ever. Because that happened to me, and that was, I think, was an obsession that it was like so bad, and it like this person was with me for like a week, and I literally felt like I was dying, and then like Natalie cleared me and I felt like completely different. So, and I was just like, it almost felt like it was becoming a possession, like slowly. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, because it's really something that is very common. And I believe the circumstances of your situation were because you were trying to help one of your patients connect with her lost sister, right? Who died under kind of not the best circumstances. And so I have no problems conjuring people or trying to talk to them because I'm a medium and that's what I do on a regular basis. But I only want to talk to those who come from the light, that are here for everyone's highest and best good and do not have their own personal agenda, because then we're not getting truth and it's not helpful. Okay, so and we think that maybe it would be helpful, but most of the time it's not. For instance, like you might think, oh, I really, like my patient or my client's, you know, he's got daddy issues and his dad was an alcoholic and he died when he was 16. And maybe if I can just help him connect to his father, he'll have a sense of closure, or feel complete around this. But guess what? Like if his dad hasn't worked out his stuff, which hopefully he has, right? But if his dad hasn't worked out his stuff and you bring him through, then, you know, he's going to feel all the same hurt feelings that he felt when his dad was here. And, you know, if in that relationship. So, yeah.
Exactly. And it's also like, I think for us, because we're like novices essentially, also it's like a respect thing for us, that we need to give respect to people who have like done this for years and years and who are trained, and like we can't go in. And I think we have to be so intentional, because like it wasn't even like I was standing at the table and I was just like innocently, so to speak, thinking, oh, like it would be so nice if like this person can come comfort. It wasn't even like it was so almost blasé. So I feel like that was a very humbling experience because it taught me to kind of like not, play with fire, so to speak. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like kids who, play with Ouija boards, right? Um, it's supposed to be a game. It's for ages 18 up. And I saw a really funny meme recently where my patient sent this to me, and it says, so anybody 18 up can conjure the dead, but you have to be 21 to buy a drink. So I was like, that is funny. So yeah, it's supposed to be a game, but this stuff is not. These things are these ways of communicating, divination, things like that. It's all wonderful. It's all beautiful. It's all good. But if you don't know why you're doing it, or you don't have a strong intention behind it, you don't protect yourself, ground your energy, ask for guidance, ask for the higher levels to come through, then that's where we get into some of these kind of troubling things that can happen. So Tracy, are you still here? I read that it happened to your daughter, so that she had both happen. So
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I had that one incident with my daughter where she had a demon invasion.
That's
and
right.
I went to you, and then I had to go to that other lady, and that was like totally crazy. And then another incident was with my older son, but I was actually watching a Netflix special. It's about energy, and then it had just different types of people that they were following. And one person, she was like Wicca, but I guess it wasn't the good Wicca or something. I don't know. The next thing I know, I started feeling weird, and I couldn't understand it. And then it had like came through the TV to me. And then
no.
figured it out, and I let it go. I said, get off me, what is going on? And so then it went to my son's room, and he wouldn't come out of his room for 2 days. And I was like, what is going on with him? And then I saw him, and I was like, oh my God. Then I told him what was happening, and he's like, what? Oh my God. So he's very intuitive. So he just like was like, get off me, you're not allowed to come. And then he said when he did that, it literally came out of his body, and he saw it sitting next to him.
Wow.
So this was on TV. I was like, okay, well, I'm watching whatever the hell. Crazy. I didn't know it could do that.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I know, like Doreen Virtue, who's like a guru on many things woo-woo, and has written several books on these topics. She really implores empathics and intuitives not to watch anything violent, because you are so sensitive, you are so spongy that it's easy to like pull that energy in. Now, I don't personally watch anything violent on purpose. I do watch the news because I do like to stay informed. I want to know what's happening in the world. I want to stay connected. But if there's a particularly gruesome story or whatever, I'll change the channel or mute it or something like that, just so I don't, because your heart's so big and you're like, oh my God. And then as soon as you open your heart, then it leaves it kind of this vulnerable state, and then it's easy to kind of get that energy in.
Right. It's interesting because it was just like a reality. There's just 3 people that were talking about their different religious paths, and that was it. And it wasn't anything scary. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Well, yeah, it got kind of crazy. But I was like, I'm not so interested. I turn it off. I'm like, no, I'm going to turn it back on because it's Netflix. You can go back to it any time. But little did I know it was more than that. So just be aware.
Yeah. Well, how funny is that an entity was attached to someone on a TV show, which then by you, it's kind of like Jumanji, right?
Yeah.
Like that movie, like way back in the day, like, it was like attached to that. And then it's like just by you kind of watching it or being in that energy, being as sensitive and intuitive, and you're such a medium that you are, that it just immediately just like jumped dimensions of time and space. Remember, time is a human construct, doesn't really exist. So it was able to jump dimensions of time and whatever. It just needed an opening, very, very interesting. And I actually myself, when I was in college, God, so many crazy things happened in college, but, I mean, spiritual things. I was living in I know, Kimberly's laughing. She's like, oh. But anyway, so I was watching a documentary on, oh gosh, something to do with like a ghost or something like that. Anyway, and, yeah, same thing, like not an obsession, but, when you start talking about it and you're in that and you're like fascinated by it, it does open the door. So the lights that night, I went to bed, my roommate was gone, I was by myself, and I turned everything off and I laid down to go to sleep, and the hallway lights turned on, and I was like, what? So yeah.
Wow.
Like I was like, okay, ghost much. So, yeah, I went, I of course, I'm a total chicken. So at the time, so I just hid under the covers like per usual. Now, I found my warrior spirit, but at 19, it was terrifying. So.
That's awesome. Awesome, but not awesome. I guess that's how we learn though, right?
It is.
We have to experience this stuff. I mean, like that's my whole thing. I just keep experiencing these weird things. So these weird anomalies, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but it makes you grow every time though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'll share something too, like a story. It's going back to what Olivia was saying earlier about wanting to help a patient. So one of my patients is a male ER nurse, and he came to me for one of his treatments, like particularly distraught and upset. And I said, oh, what happened? And he said, oh, we had this really wonderful patient that came into the ER today, and we couldn't save him, and he died. And he was young, and he did the whole story, right? And I'm like, oh man, that sucks. And I could tell that I could see the guy came in with him. Like I saw it. And so I, was like, I don't have time for this. Like, I gotta get on, let's put some needles in, let's chop, And so I made a verbal contract. So watch your words, seriously. I said, I will get to him later, is what I said. Okay, so fast forward that night, I go to bed, and I'm asleep, like dead asleep. Me and my husband are dead asleep. We have our cats as well. They're all asleep. We're all in the bed together, like our cute little family does. And yeah, love the dogs, yeah. So anyway, it's probably like 2 a.m. and the lamp on my nightstand flies off the nightstand and crashes onto the floor. And I'm like, holy bejeebus. So covered in chills. I'm like, oh gosh, what's happening? And I look, and of course my husband's dead asleep. The cats are just in cat land, and there's no rhyme or reason. And I knew, and I was covered in chills, and I knew. I was like, okay, great. Like, okay, I didn't. And so I thought, okay, I really don't have time for this. So I did a quick little clearing, right? I just said some prayers, and I called on Archangel Michael, and I just invited him to cross over, and, just said some make nice stuff, like very dismissive, but like, get out of my house, And, okay, fall back asleep. It was fine. The next night, I'm like, yeah, I took care of that. No biggie. So the next night, I'm again asleep. Things are quiet. It's all fine. And I wake up because someone screams in my ear, hey! And then the light goes on. And I'm like, cool. I was like, so you're back. So it didn't work. And now I really got to do something about this, right? And so, great news, right? My mom was already scheduled to come over to my house for dinner with me and my husband, and my mom and dad. So, and both my parents are mediums. They're both spiritual ministers as well. And my mom was one of my greatest teachers, actually. So, in all of this. So anyway, I tell her the story, and my mom, of course, in a very motherly way, is like, you were being lazy. And I was like, Called out. Okay, cool. So, she said, you promised to help that guy and you didn't do it. So you didn't listen to what he had to say. You didn't hear him out. You don't know why he's still earthbound. Like you didn't do any of the digging work on it. And so I realized once I took ownership of that, I spent more time and I was with my mom, because, don't feel like you have to do this all on your own, right? I mean, like it helps, seriously. A friend or a medium or whatever, a healer. And so I was with her and we really together, because he was powerful. I mean, he was powerful enough to turn off lights. Or turn on lights. He was powerful to throw my lamp across a room. He was powerful to break my serious wards around protective wards I have around clairaudience. I hate hearing things. So he broke through that, which has only happened a very small handful of times. So, he needed extra help. And so once we got to the bottom of everything and I was really able to explain things to him and really work him through there, he was gone and it was great and it was fine. And so big lesson, watch your words and don't half-ass it, basically. If you say you're going to help someone, truly help them. And that goes for spirits and people on the human planet. So, yeah. Good.
Wow. Thanks for the story. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Aquarius moms, Olivia says, yes. Yeah. Gotta love those Aquarius moms. They're so smart. Cool. Nice. Okay. Anybody else have any stories that they want to share or think are interesting? Aviana, you've been quiet, my friend. I know you got stories. You're like, no. That's okay.
I don't have any stories other than seeing the ghost of my ex-husband's deceased brother. Yeah, which I hid under the covers.
Tell us more.
Good girl. Good girl.
Iviana, tell us more. What happened?
Yeah. So do you know? Was he trying to say anything, or did he have anything that was going on?
I was only 20 years old at the time. And he had committed suicide in the house in my ex-husband's house. Yeah. And I was sleeping there and it was, the next day or several days after he had died, and he appeared to me, in the bedroom. And I was scared. So I just pulled the covers over my head. But prior to his death, I was starting to see things in the TV. I would be watching a TV show and I would start to see, ghosts, shadows or skeletons. And I would say to the people that were with me, did you see that? And they were like, no, you're crazy. So I kind of think, when my brother-in-law appeared, or not my brother-in-law, but my ex-husband's brother appeared to me, he did want something, but it scared me so much that I think I kind of shut that part of myself down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then, so you never heard from him again, right?
No.
Wow.
No.
Yeah. And then when was it again? Because now you're a healer. So, when was it that you really opened back up again to everything?
Oh, I guess about, 7 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel so different about it now, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I had, been open at the time, I definitely would have helped him. And I think back and I often wonder, why was he coming to me? Was he coming to make amends? Yeah. Was he coming to make amends? Did he want to say that he made a mistake? Yeah. I really wish I had been able to communicate with him to help the family.
Yeah. The letter J is coming through. Is that significant in any way?
No. Well, I mean, significant for a grandmother, but not for him.
Not for him. Okay. There's, as soon as you were talking about, of course, right, we're talking about this. And so he came through, he always came through. So I can always, and that's another thing too, you can know when spirit comes through because you'll get like chills or, your eyes will water. There's different, like what we call a tell. So a tell is your body's way of letting you know that it's confirmation, validation of a spirit, or even just that your own intuition's on. But, he was so sorry. So that's the biggest thing that I'm really feeling around this, is that he had so many regrets, and he felt like he threw away his life. And you were already, I mean, you've always been empathic and intuitive, and his brother was so mad at him and so grieving. He couldn't get through, and his parents too. He couldn't get through to anybody. Nobody wanted to hear it or see him or connect with him. And you were kind of neutral, like, about it, and you were already insensitive and intuitive. So that's why he showed himself to you, because he was trying to let you know that he was okay, but that he was sorry, and he had so many regrets, and nobody would listen to him. And that was actually part of the problem anyway, of why he did commit suicide, because he just felt so like misunderstood, or like no one cared.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah. Well, I got chills. So yeah, you're absolutely right on.
Yeah. So okay. Well, thank you for coming in with us today and sharing that energy with us and that message with us. And we just release you back to their side and hoping you rest in peace. So be it.
So be it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah,
Wow.
thank you, Aviana.
Powerful. It was I got really hot. Yeah. That was really, really good. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, good.
I actually have a quick question. That's okay.
Yes.
Kind of, like piggybacking on Aviana's about like shutting off, I guess, like our gifts or our sensitivity. So
Yeah.
why? Okay, so you know how like there are some people, like when they were little, like for example for you, like you were only 4 and you had this experience, right? And then for others it could be like in their 20s, or it could be like just right, you know, now wherever they are right now. So why do you think it comes, if certain people are meant to be empaths, why does it come in later for some people than others if they haven't consciously shut it off? Or maybe they have, I don't know, just curious.
Yeah. So you're always sensitive. That's what it is, like always, like since birth. But if no one's there to explain to you what things are, and if no one is there to encourage it or to foster it, it kind of, you find coping mechanisms to make sense of everything. You start explaining things away. And you know what? Here's a good example. Before I realized I was channeling, okay, I thought I was really smart. Like people would call me. I know Kimberly too. Yeah. So people would call me and they'd ask me these like deep like questions about life or whatever. And I would just like, for instance, I had this friend whose mom was in the hospital and had this horrible health problem, and I didn't know shit about shit, but she called me, and for whatever reason, and I was like, so your mom needs to do X, Y, and Z, and these are the things that the doctors are going to want to know, and you know. I was like, I am so smart. No, like that's the channel, right? But I was just like, I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. And so that's what a lot of intuitives don't even realize that that's what they're doing. They don't realize it's their third eye, that it's their heart chakra that's speaking, you know, because they've just grown accustomed to just knowing stuff or whatever. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And do you think it also has to do with like Saturn return? You know, like remember, like we always speak about that, like when you turn 30 or something, or
yeah,
like the lights come on, and
yeah,
other things crash.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, before we go into that really quick, Kimberly says, I thought I was just bossy and know it all. So it's so true, right? I mean, because you give great advice. Yeah, and you're like, I'm just so smart. Yeah. So it's not necessarily that the gift isn't. It's not that the gift comes to you like shipped FedEx, like when you're 5 or when you're 25 or whatever. It's when you realize that this box has always been there and that you've just haven't like unwrapped it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's just the metaphor that came through from Who Someone's Guides. So thank you. But going back to Saturn return, so for those of you that know about astrology, Saturn is one of the teaching planets. We have two really strong teaching planets, Jupiter and Saturn. And Jupiter teaches us through like expansion and happiness and fun times. And Saturn teaches us through like hardship and contraction and obstacles and struggles. And so the ruling planet of Saturn, when it comes back around in your chart for its first return, usually happens around the ages of like 27 to 30, depending on your chart. And the first time that Saturn, and how you will know what your challenges are is because you look at what your Saturn's in. So for instance, for you and me, our Saturns are in Scorpio, which is the hardest Saturn to have. So, yeah. So anyway, when that comes back around, you are faced with a lot of your like life's challenges, your karma, like a lot of your gifts from, for that you were born with, like, are you in your power? Are you in your truth? Are you being authentic to yourself? And so when that happens, if you're not authentic and you're not in alignment, boom, you will have a strong awakening. So that can be Saturn's gift. Does not feel like a gift. It feels like you got smacked around. But it is an opening. And Saturn comes around a couple of times. It comes around like in our like late 20s. It comes around in our like kind of early to mid 50s. And if you make it into your, like 80s, then you'll see it there too. So that's kind of that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Good questions. Kimberly, you've been pretty quiet. Oh no, is that Dominique? Yeah, hey girl.
Yes. Hi, I'm sorry. I have no way to type. I have no way to see anything.
Oh,
I can just hear. So I've been feeling very passive. But I have a few quick questions.
Yes,
First
ma'am.
of all, do you see anything that follows me from any of those vintage buildings that I was in all weekend?
Yeah, well, not an entity, but there's like a person, like a residual holographic energy off of something like a piece of jewelry maybe you might have touched or something like that.
I feel like Villa Montezuma or something. It was just, I don't know.
Okay. Well, what I would do is I would follow a lot of those things we just talked about. Like I would absolutely
Yeah.
an Epsom salt bath, light some candles, do some sage, and do some prayers. And if it still doesn't move, then you might have to implore some other techniques or give me a call.
And you're saying also you can speak lovingly to it. I mean, is that, did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And then also,
it's a great way. Can I just talk about that really quickly? You can banish by commanding people to leave, and by, you can say, you're not welcome here, you must leave, which sometimes works, but sometimes it does not. So when you speak from a place of love and compassion and empathy, then that is usually the key that unlocks things and then sets them free. So
which is the energy I went into all of these buildings, if there were energies in them, because I wanted to send love to whatever these energies were that were hurting or stuck in despair. So I wanted to only go in there with positive, loving, accepting energy, but I didn't want to bring it home. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I totally understand everything that you said in this webinar about being an empath and a healer and sensitive and picking up things, but I haven't experienced these things that are also being discussed. I haven't seen things. I haven't heard things. I haven't had things break. I don't want those things, actually. I don't want those experiences. I just want the healing part and staying sensitive, but I don't actually want to be open or challenged to those other things. Does that make sense?
It is. And if you don't want it, then it's not your karma. Does that make sense? Not that people want, not that I want these things to happen. You know what I mean? I don't. It's a pain in my ass.
Of course. Right.
But I kind of have to have these experiences because I help other people with their experiences like this. So if I did, go ahead.
So I haven't had these experiences happen, but I feel like the people that I draw into my life who seem wounded and need to be healed, I feel like that's kind of where all that negative energy is coming through humans. And I'm wondering if it's these spirits masked in human form, or if they're maybe whatever that W word you said, attaching themselves to these people that come into my life. Then that's just the medium. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So, okay. So part of this is like your experience is not to have a lot of this paranormal experience, which is totally.
No, yeah,
actually.
no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. And and the vintage homes, by the way, I feel like you came in so high vibration. I think you were just totally fine. You know what I mean? Like you were like in a good place and all of that. So it was good. And you were really like, I don't want this. And so it didn't happen. So you protected yourself, basically. You protected yourself really well, and that's why. But as far as with like people goes, that's part of that, like that big heart and wanting to heal the world and save people, and so they can kind of latch onto you and drain you, like the psychic vampires are like people who do this. But also, yes, I mean, not to be super, I mean, everything we're talking about today is really woo woo, but to take it to like a next level woo woo, yeah, it is possible that that waywards and entities can be on someone that as a friend, and then you're trying to help them, and then they jump from them to you. So yeah,
and I'll just end with this because I don't want to take up time, but because some of these people keep coming back in my life. It's like recycling, constantly coming back, and it's like I thought I was done there. I thought I was done with that job, and they can move on, and it keeps returning, and I just didn't know if that was something bigger than just a human. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. So as far as like, well, I would say that this is not complete. So if you keep cycling back to it, then there's a deeper layer of the onion that you're needing to uncover. So, so we can think you might have closure on one aspect of it, but maybe not the whole picture. So you might have to go back into a variation on a theme in order to get the deeper understanding and meaning of why these circumstances are coming to you. Because you're not being punished. You're not, it's not a bad thing. It's just another opportunity for personal growth and spiritual development, and for you to really like understand these dynamics. So it's like it will repeat itself, right? Until we really, really get it.
Okay, thank you.
Really like an entity that's doing it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Okay, guys, ladies. Oh, thank you so much for attending my very first webinar and for dealing with my tech-tardedness. And thank you to the team from East West Integrative for the opportunity to be here today and to work with you, especially East Harridan and Tracy and Heather. So I really appreciate you guys. And for everyone that came here today, I love you all, because I know all of you. So I love you all so much, and I'm so grateful for you being here and sharing this with me today. And if you have any other questions, I'm definitely here for you. I'm a resource. I love to help point people in the right direction on anything. And we've got some other stuff coming up, so I'll keep you posted on all. And to close, I'm just going to do what I always do. I'm going to say a prayer, okay? Because that's me, because I want to clear everybody before we go as well, because we've talked about some stuff. So I want to make sure that we're all clear. So just close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in. Good. Mother, Father, God, infinite intelligence, teachers, guides, angels, friends, and family and spirit. We thank you for your love, your guidance, your support, your healing, your energy, and your protection. We ask that each and everything shared, shifted, moved, transformed, and healed here today for all these wonderful women be fully downloaded, integrated, and processed with the highest and best good on a conscious, subconscious, and superconscious level. Please keep them grounded. Guard, guide, and protect them along their life's journeys. Help them to maintain strong boundaries. Keep their vibrations strong. Stay in alignment with truth. And always pull from source, knowing that they are beautiful, they are loved, they are magical, wonderful, unique expressions of the divine. And as we ask all of this, we know it is already in motion. We bless you, we thank you, we love you. Amen. So be it. Aho. Good.
Amen.
Hey, woo! And that is it. Woo!
Thank you so much, Nat. You did an amazing job for your first webinar. Like, let's all like clap. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Thank you, Natalie.
Oh, Cassandra, you made it the whole way through. Yay!
Have a good evening.
Yes. Woohoo. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.